Greetings, Royal Queens and Kings. It's your host, QUEENTULSA, and we are back once again to cover the Naziah Harris case. Now, we do have audio of one of Naziah Harris's cousin, Roxy's mother. We do have some audio, and she's going to speak. So we just ask you all like, share, and subscribe, and please make sure you tell somebody that we are live. Years before Naziah Harris' murder case, CPS warned repeatedly about alleged DELETOR. Years before Jarvis Butts would be charged by Wayne County's prosecutor, accused of killing and SAing Naziah Harris, relatives of the 13-year-old say they filed multiple reports with Children's Protective Services raising concerns about Butts. A 7 News Detroit investigation finds that Butts was named in at least 5 CPS complaints, at least since 2015, including one that alleged Butts had inappropriately touched Naziah Harris in 2022. Listen here, this is a fair use commentary. Hey, Ron P., how are you doing? Oh, thank you so much. Hey, QUEENTULSA, coming in to show support. I really appreciate you. Listen here, I'm covering the story of Naziah Harris. This young lady, she resided in Detroit, and her family, let's just say her family failed her. Okay, so without further ado, I want to go ahead and bring up that clip of Naziah Harris's aunt. Let's get into it.
I called Annette's sister. I talked to her daughter. She told me what happened. I then talked to her back to her mother and asked her, did she go to the police station? She said, yeah. And the police said they can't do nothing because the other little kids said nothing happened. I didn't just say that.
Okay, so you made this post January 2023. You knew he was a convicted SA offender, right?
When I was informed by Kiwana.
But at that time when you made that post, you knew it.
Well, that's why I started posting about it. Did y'all read my post?
Did you know she was pregnant?
So you knew that he was a convicted SA offender. You knew there were allegations that he had touched at least 2 little girls, one being Shannon's daughter and the other one being Annette's niece. You knew about that at that time, right? When you made that post, because from reading your post, that's the part that had you pissed off, because he touched some kids. He was a convicted SA offender, and they was not doing anything about it. You even said you were going to go to Annette while she's playing holier than thou. You're going to go to her church and tell her entire church what she is letting go on underneath her house, in her house. That's what you said.
Yeah.
Did your daughter
So Naziah is under Annette's custody.
Okay, so just to give you guys kind of a backstory, Naziah Harris was a 13-year-old girl that went missing in Detroit, and her family failed her. Her aunt Shannon this was her boyfriend that's being alleged that he had deleted her. So let me give you a backstory. So Shannon, she has a twin named Marquita. Marquita had dealt with Jarvis before Shannon did. Some way, somehow, Shannon was currently in a relationship with him. And on the day of Naziah's disappearance, everybody is acting like they don't know what went on. Now, the day of the 13-year-old girl going missing, her grandmother, who was in charge of her, who had custody over her, did not go and make a report to the police. She went the next day. She got a good night's rest. She didn't bother calling the police or checking with the authorities. And yeah, so her granddaughter is missing. She reported it the next day. Let's get into it.
Custody. So since you're telling the church Annette's house, then you're speaking of Naziah too, because Shannon's daughter wasn't living under Annette's house at that time, was she? Birthday party was at Shannon's house, and the dog was down in the basement. And Annette lives in a duplex or something like that. A duplex does not have a basement, does it?
Yeah. Oh, a lot of
Okay.
houses in Michigan have basements.
Okay, so you said tell Annette's church what she's letting going on in her house. You didn't say I'm gonna tell your mom's church what you letting go on over there in Shannon's house. You said Annette's house. And the two girls that you're talking about, one belonged to Shannon, and Shannon had her own house, and the other little girl belonged to Annette's sister. So, but you didn't say what was going on in Shannon's house, and you didn't say what was going on in Annette's sister's house. You said what was going on in Annette's house.
Nothing was going on at Annette's sister house, and I didn't know anything that was going on at Shannon's house. So you're reaching too far. I'm not reaching.
So let's get into this. So this is Roxy's mother, right? This is Naziah's cousin's mother who's speaking. Now listen here. This whole family knew that Jarvis was not to be around any kid. Jarvis, there are allegations that he did something to his 4-year-old child. His sister that got up on a stand and said, that's my brother, that's my brother, that's my brother. But not one time did that lady say, that's my brother, but my brother needs some help. Let's talk about it.
I only said what I knew.
No, fuck, she not.
I'm not reaching at all. I'm just.
Hey, Norris, I didn't see you come in. Hey, Norris, Tony, good to see you. Ron P says hello as well. Let's go.
Requoting what you put, because you announced when you was on my panel, you announced your Facebook was Kenya. And this is where I'm getting this information from. You said you were going to Annette, for you call her holier than thou, and then you said you were going to her church and let her whole church know what she is allowing to go on in her house.
I did.
So, okay.
Okay, so once again, this is Naziah Harris's cousin's mother. Her cousin's mother is she said, well, she made threats of going to Naziah's grandmother's, which is who is her adopted mother. So she was going to go to Naziah's adopted mother church and let them know what was going on. Naziah's grandmother was okaying ex offenders to be around her, to be in her home, to date her children. Well, they're grown, but date, and for them to keep a PDF file around the house. Now, this isn't a story where Shannon Harris was blindsided by a SO. This guy told her at the beginning he's a SO. we may not want to give him credit, but he did inform this lady of his past and that he was an ex-offender. What did Shannon say? Okay, if society can forgive you, well, hey, I want to give you a chance. But that chance consisted of Jarvis dating and having relations with her twin sister prior. So when it comes to making decisions, she, in my opinion, does not make healthy decisions. Let's go ahead and listen to the cousin. This is Roxy's mother. Let's go.
So what little girl is in her house that she's allowing this to happen to? Because it's not Shannon's daughter and it's not Annette's sister daughter. What little girl? Since it wasn't Naziah, what little girl was it?
I said I was talking about Janiyah.
And Janiyah would be Shannon's daughter, right?
First daughter, her oldest daughter.
Okay, but Shannon had her own place because that's where they had that's where they had the February 14th birthday party at.
Okay, so but I didn't even know where they had the birthday party yet. All I know is that what I was told, and I didn't know where the location was at, but either or, I knew Annette was aware of it.
You said what Annette was letting go on in her house. So that means he was messing with somebody under Annette's roof. That's what your post said. And then they denied it. They denied that he was a convicted SA offender. Then you go and pull up all the facts and you post that on Facebook. Then you say you're gonna report it and you're gonna do this and all that. So what happened with your case when you reported it to the cops or to CPS? What happened with that? And then when you were on my panel, I asked you about 3 questions. One of the questions that I asked you, like right now, at this day and time, with hindsight being 2020, is there anything that you could look back on that would have gave you any inkling that this could have been going on? You gave me a firm no.
And your point is what?
My point is on January.
So listen here, this is very common in the Black community, or what shall I say, in all communities. I don't really know, but keeping things a secret. What goes on in this house stays in this house, and a lot of people don't know that that's very traumatizing, and it's not good. Let's just say that.
February of 2023, you knew a lot was going on. But when I asked you.
And your point is what?
My point is on January of 2023, you knew a lot was going on. But when I asked you,
I didn't
you
know.
Posted that you posted?
I just literally told you what I knew. And
you
what
posted that you knew
what my post was about. I done said it 50 times. I don't know why you keep going around the corner, but I done said it 50 times. My post was never about Naziah. I had the slightest clue that she was being essayed by Jarvis. Had I known, things would have went differently. Had Kiwana and them told me more information, things would have been differently.
What about the girls that you didn't know?
You trying to make this more than what it is about my post, and it's not. I'm going to say it one more time. My post was never about Naziah. It was about Janiyah and Annette's sister daughter. That's
what
all
did you do about them?
What did you do about the two girls?
Whoa. We try to touch you right now,
I'm in Detroit, Michigan. You can meet me, boo. You can meet me because you're going to get more than what you think you're going to get.
Hold on. Miss Rossman, don't come. No, Miss Rossman, you ain't got to do all that.
When people start talking out of turn,
conversation. We having a conversation. I'm saying, come on, y'all. We having a conversation.
Ain't nothing scared about me.
Miss Rossman, Listen, we ain't got to do all of that. Come on, it's conversation. It's conversation. I'm saying we asking the questions that we didn't get a chance to ask whenever you was on Ebony Live. So everybody's asking the questions. But Miss Body,
she didn't ask me. She just threatened me.
Don't worry about that. I'm about to handle that. Miss Boxy, Miss Body, you got to come back. You got to come back later.
So listen, there are so many people involved in this story, in this case. I do feel like a lot of people really dropped the ball. I feel like a lot of people really let the young lady down. But March the 7th will be in trial with Jarvis Butts. And I'm just curious. I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm curious to see if the judge that's going to be taking this case, because, of course, we've already seen a preliminary hearing, right? But I want to know if this judge is going to go ahead and recruit Shannon, the grandmother, and everybody else that was held responsible for her, right? Because they're saying that Desire didn't come home, right? Well, Desire got off the bus. Desire had gotten off that bus. Desire, there's footage of her being on that bus. And another thing, while I'm still here on this, before I play this recording, there was this, I think he was a child protective investigator. It was a guy, but he said that he was about to retire, and he didn't really go the extra mile because he was retiring the next day. I want y'all to ask yourself this. If y'all worked in human or child protective services, you're about to retire tomorrow, but you get a case. Are you going to rush through that case? Are you going to give that case 100% of your attention? Are you going to dismiss it, or would you give it 100% of your attention? That's something to think about. I'm going to go ahead and play this live video. Oh, and let me get you guys some music going. I'm sorry. Usually I have music going for y'all. I do apologize. We're just doing some pampering tonight. Okay. So listen here. Let me pamper you with a little bit of music, and let's go ahead and get into the commentary. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and tell somebody that we are live. Okay. Let somebody know that we're live.
Okay, we are on the record. This is case 2459617. The people of State of Michigan versus Jarvis Butts, charged with count 1, homicide, murder, first degree, premeditated. Count 2, child sexually abusive activity. Count 3, criminal sexual conduct, second degree, person under 13, defendant 17 years of age or older. With the habitual offender fourth defense notice set for exam today. Appearances.
Good morning, Your Honor. Tina Ripley on behalf of the people, P83688.
And good morning, Your Honor. Matthew Makepeace on behalf of the people as well, P82796.
Good morning, Your Honor. Good morning to your staff, Neighborhood Defender Services by Ken Riggin, P82125 on behalf of Mr. Jarvis Butts.
And good morning, Your Honor. Neighborhood Defender Service by Cheryl Cook, P83973, also on behalf of Jarvis Butts. Mr. Butts, station.
Mr. Butts, you can have a seat.
Good morning, Your Honor. Lauren Butler, Neighborhood Defender Service as well.
Thank you. Okay, any preliminary matters before we begin the exam?
Defense just would request her to invoke the rule of sequestration.
And the people would ask for an exception for the officer in charge who is sitting in the back, Sergeant Shannon Jones.
And
Just question whether or not Sergeant Johnson has testified today.
Not today, but she will be testifying.
No objection for exam purposes.
Okay, if there's anyone in the courtroom who may testify or is a witness on this case any today or at trial, if it goes to trial, you must exit the courtroom now. Also, just to put everyone on notice, this case is being streamed live on YouTube. So if there's anyone on YouTube who may testify or is a witness on this case, you must also log off and not view the proceedings today. Anything else?
No judges.
That's stated.
Okay, call your first witness, Ms. Ricky.
Thank you, Judge. At this time, we'll call Cordell Brett.
Stand right here, Mr. Wright. Face the judge. Raise your right hand.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Watch your step.
Do you have his name?
Can you spell his first name for me?
CORDELL.
You ready to begin, Ms. Ricky?
Thank you, Judge. Good morning, Mr. Wright.
Good morning.
And Mr. Wright, do you have a nickname?
Yes.
And what's your nickname?
King.
Is that King?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. How old are you?
37.
When's your birthday?
11/17.
What year?
86.
And Mr. Wright, back in January 2024, were you on an MDOC tether?
Yes, I was.
And what dates were you on tether from?
From March 14th, 23 to March 28th of 24.
And what were your tether restrictions back then?
I could leave the house from 6 in the morning. I had to be back in by 9 p.m.
Mr. Wright, do you know someone named Jarvis Butts?
Yes, I do.
How do you know Jarvis Butts?
I first met him. We worked together at a shop called Frank's, and then we owned the shop together.
And do you see Jarvis Butts in the courtroom today?
No.
Yeah. Would you be able to stand up so you can look around?
Yes. No.
When did you meet Mr. Butts?
2018.
And you said you two worked together initially at a place called Frank's?
Frank's.
All right. Where was Frank's at?
He has a couple locations. He has 7, but the one I met him at was on Warren and Neff.
Okay. And what locations of Frank's did you work at with Mr. Butts?
Warren and Neff.
Yes.
And Mr. Wright, I'm approaching people's proposed exhibits 4, 5, and 6. Can you look at these and tell me if you recognize those?
I recognize this one, and this one.
And those are those a fair and accurate depiction of the Frank's Auto Shops? At least 2 of them on Warren and the other one maybe on Harper?
Yes.
Okay. Which is the one that's on Harper?
The last one of the inside.
Okay. And that's People's Proposed Exhibit 6?
Yes.
Okay. You're not moving for the admission of People's 4, 5, and 6?
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
You'll be admitted as People's Exhibits 4, 5, and 6.
Thank you, Judge. How long did you work at
Few years.
About how many years would you estimate?
2.
And when did that change from Frank's to another shop?
Maybe in 23 sometime.
Okay. Would it be earlier in the year or later in the year?
Maybe mid, maybe in May. Well, maybe April, May.
And then where did you guys work then?
We got a shop together on 9,000 Connor.
And what is at 9,000 Connor?
A sicko, a car wash, and our shop was in the middle of both.
May I approach?
Yes.
Straight, I'm handing you its marked people proposed exhibits 7 and 8. Can you look at those and tell me if you recognize them?
Yes, I recognize.
Okay. And are those a fair and accurate depiction of your shop at 9,000 Connor?
Yes, it is.
And you're not with the admission of people's proposed exhibits 7 and 8?
No objection. They'll be admitted as people's exhibits 7 and 8.
Thank you. Who was it that you mainly worked with at 9,000 Connor?
I'm sorry.
Who was it that you worked with at 9,000 Connor?
Jarvis.
I want to take you back to when you were working at Frank's with Mr. Butts. Did you ever see Mr. Butts with any children there?
Yes.
And specifically, did you see him with any young girl children?
Yes.
And did you know who those were?
Yes.
Who were they? Who were they?
His daughter, his niece.
Daughters and niece. What about any boys?
Yes.
Okay. And who were they?
His sons.
How often would you see him with children there at Frank's?
Sporadically.
And at 9,000 Connor, did you see Mr. Butts with any children then?
Yes.
Any girls?
Yes.
And who would they be?
His daughter.
And what about any boys?
Yes.
And who would they be?
His sons.
And how often would you see him with children at 9,000 Connor?
Sporadic.
And as it relates to this case, it's fair to say that you spoke with Detroit police a few times?
Yes, about 4.
About 4 times? Okay. That first time that you talked to Detroit police, do you recall about when that was?
The first time was the day before Valentine's Day, so like February 13th.
February 13th, and is that of 2024?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And at that time, were you presented with a jail call?
Yes.
Okay. And who was that jail call with?
Jarvis.
Okay. And who was he talking to?
Me.
All right. And what was the topic of that jail call?
He called to ask would I receive a cell phone out of a truck for him.
And were you familiar with what truck he was asking you to get it from?
Yes.
What truck was that?
It was a Z71 Chevy Suburban.
And did you know who that truck belonged to?
Yeah, his baby mom or somebody he was dealing with.
And do you recall listening to that jail call?
Yeah, I recall.
Okay. If I would move to admit the jail call from, I believe it's February 8th, 2024, between Mr. Wright and Mr. Jarvis Butts.
Any objection?
No objection. With
exhibit number on that?
Sorry, that's exhibit number 1.
Will be admitted as people in exhibit 1.
Thank you, Judge. And may I publish?
Yes, I gave you photos.
Thank you, Judge. And for the record, I am playing people's exhibit 1.
That's it.
This is a one-time free 3 minute call from an inmate at Woody County Jail. Your phone is not set to collect calls. This call has been provided by Helmet as a courtesy for friends and family. You cannot receive additional calls from this inmate until you call repeated calls. We can take your credit or debit card information over the phone and connect you immediately back to your calls. This call is subject to recording and monitoring. Press 1 to accept all communications from this. Thank you for using Sony.
My guy, what's up, man?
Nah, shit, man. What's happening?
Nah, shit, man. How you feeling? My bad, I missed your call. I was working like a motherfucker.
I figured they said you was up there banging, said something banging.
Yeah, you know it.
What's up, my nigga? What's that, Tim? What's up, boy?
You know it.
And shit. Man, I'm calling, man. Because they put my money up on my fucking books, bro.
Oh, yeah, take a minute for them to put that shit on there. Even if you walk in with it, man, they be playing it crazy.
Yeah,
I swear to God. They should have a machine and shit. You show you straight, you need something. I mean, I'm going to come out and put that in.
Yeah, I have some money on my books, nigga. I came in with money.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so they put this shit on my hookup. I was looking for the tab, I didn't come up $0. That's some bullshit.
That shit crazy.
Yeah.
How is it, though?
Man, that's some bullshit. I'm really gonna be quarantined on this whole shit, bro.
Oh, yeah, they got you on that quarantine floor for how long? 3 days?
I don't know how long, nigga. Shit, I'm about to be the only one in this bitch on my part.
You say, what happened?
I said, shit, I'm about to be that. Remember me and young, you know, this motherfucker, you want these on this bitch.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
What you need?
Huh?
No, I was asking something what that customer needs. Man, listen. You straight?
Yeah, my nigga.
Huh?
So yeah, I'm good, oh shit, yeah. You got passion number, right?
Yeah.
So Dig, I need you to call her one day, nigga, and get that truck up there, nigga. Get my phone up there back seat, bro.
Oh man. Alright. Well, I'm going to get the truck up there. What will tell her?
Tell her you gonna you fuck around and lost a car that there too when we was moving the radio on the seat.
Alright.
You have 1 minute remaining for this call.
Reach my hand that back seat.
Where? Yeah.
So you reach behind that back seat, bro. The box right there. Straight behind the middle of that back seat, bro.
Okay, under it or in the back or in the back
in
thing?
the back, right in the back of the seat, bro.
Okay.
On the second row.
I got you. You know you took the key. You took the key to the gate.
It's the same key.
I don't got that key to it.
Yeah, you do. It's the same key to the lock at the door.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. All right.
Yeah, it's the same key, bro.
Now, you know I got you. I'll put the money on the phone later, man. When I get around, baby, I will put the credit card.
I got the key on that. I call my wife and have her bring it up the seat.
No, I don't need it though. If you said the same one, I got it. So I don't need it right now anyway. Just when I get the scrap out of there.
Okay.
Now listen here, this dude says that he's gonna get this strap out of there. Actually, I'm gonna hit this music. I'm gonna replay that for y'all. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna cut the music off because I want y'all to hear it. Let's get into it.
record, I am playing people's Exhibit 1.
That's it.
This is a one-time free 3-minute call from an inmate at Woody County Jail. Your phone is not set to collect calls. This call has been provided by Helmet as a courtesy for friends and family. You cannot receive additional calls from this inmate until you fill prepaid account. We can take your credit or debit card information over the phone and connect you immediately back to your phone. This call is subject to recording and monitoring. Press 1 to accept all communications from this. Thank you for using Helmet.
My guy, what's up, man?
Not shit, man. What's happening?
Nah, shit, man. How you feeling? My bad, I missed your call. I was working like a motherfucker.
I figured they said you was up there banging, said something banging.
Yeah, you know it.
What's up, my nigga? What's up, What's up, boy?
You know it.
Hey, shit. Man, I'm calling, man. These bitches, they put my money on my motherfucking books, bro.
Oh, yeah, take a minute for them to put that shit on there. Even if you walk in with it, man, they be playing it crazy.
Yeah,
I swear to God. They shoot out a machine and shit. You show you straight, you need something. I mean, I'm getting a couple hours for that.
Yeah, I have money on my books, nigga. I came in with money.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so they put this shit on my hookup. I was up on the tablet. I didn't come up $0. That's some bullshit.
That shit crazy.
Yeah.
How is it, though?
Man, that's some bullshit. I'm really gonna be quarantined on this whole shit, bro.
Oh, yeah, they got you on that quarantine club for how long? 3 days?
I don't know how long, nigga. Shit, I'm about to be the only one in this bitch on my part.
You say, what happened?
I said, shit, I'm about to be the remember me and young enough and this one told me one of these boys on this bitch.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
What you need?
Huh?
No, I was asking something with that customer meeting. Man, listen. You straight?
Yeah, my nigga.
Huh?
So yeah, I'm good, oh shit, yeah. You got Tasha number, right?
Yeah.
So dang, I need you to call her one thing and get that truck up there, nigga. Get my phone out there back seat, bro.
Oh man. All right. Well, I'm supposed to get the truck up there. What tell her?
Tell her you gotta you fuck around and lost a car that there too when we was moving the radio on the seat.
You have 1 minute remaining for this call.
Reach my hand that back seat.
Yeah.
So you reach behind that back seat, bro. The box right there. Straight behind the middle of that back seat, bro.
Okay, under it or in the back or in the back thing?
In the back, like right in the back of the seat, bro.
Okay.
I'm on the second row.
You know you took the key. You took the key to the gate.
All right, y'all. So I want y'all to listen out. I know I heard him say, I want you to get the strap. I want you to get the strap out the car as well. Y'all let me know if you hear him say, get the strap. As soon as you hear it, put a 7 in the chat. Put a 7 in the chat as soon as you hear it.
Or in the back thing?
In the back, like right in the back of the seat, bro.
Okay.
I'm on the second row.
You know you took the key. You took the key to the gate.
It's the same key.
I don't got that key to it.
Yeah, you do. It's the same key to the lock at the door.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. All right.
Yeah, it's the same key.
Now, you know I got to put the money on the phone later, man. When I get around, baby, I will put the credit card. You?
I told my wife and have her break up the seat.
No, I don't need it though. This is the same one I got it, so I don't need it right now anyway. This is when I get the scrap out of there.
Okay.
And Mr. Wright, were you successful in getting that cell phone from the vehicle like Mr. Butt asked you to?
She came up there, but no, I wasn't successful. It wasn't there.
Wasn't there?
Okay, so let's get into it. So the phone call that we just heard was from Jarvis Butts' accomplice, which is Cordell. This was his business partner. He was on the jail call with Jarvis Butts. Jarvis Butts is the one that's behind the bars because of the disappearance or the allegations for Naziah Harris. So just giving you guys an update. Let's go ahead and get into it.
When we say she, who you referring to?
Tasha,
And who's Taki that you know of?
his baby mom.
Okay. Did you look for it in the vehicle?
Yeah, I looked for it.
Okay. And you were unsuccessful at finding it.
Yes.
And Mr. I want to talk to you now about the second time that you were speaking with the Detroit police. Would that be fair to say that was just a couple days after your first time?
It was not long, a few weeks maybe. I was off tether at that point, I believe.
Okay. And do you recall talking about fixing a red Jaguar and going to Ypsilanti?
Yes, I do.
Tell me about how many times did you and Mr. Butts go to Ypsilanti?
I believe it was either 2 or 3.
All right. And tell me about how did that come about? Whose red Jaguar is this?
My son's grandma.
Your son's grandma.
So she called, said she was having some problems with it and asked if we would come look at it, which is not unusual. We do house calls depending on the person and where it's located, but this is my son's grandma, so of course we're gonna make the exception. She called and said she was having problems with the car, asked if we would come look at it. We went, assessed the car at her house the first time. I think we made a minor repair there, not to the extent that it was the problem that she was having after the fact.
Okay. So where is this red Jaguar located when you guys go out to see it?
It's in my son's grandma's driveway in Ypsilanti, off Michigan Avenue, I believe.
All right. And who goes with you out there that first time?
Jarvis?
Okay. It's just you and Jarvis Butts?
Yes.
Okay. So you guys go out there and you assess, make a minor repair.
Yeah.
Does it completely fix the car?
For that problem, yes.
Okay. And then is there another time that you end up having to do work on this red Jaguar?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about that.
She drove the Jaguar for a while. It was doing fine. And then she said it was leaking something. I asked her what it was leaking. She said she didn't know. I asked her if she could get it towed to the shop. She said, yeah.
Okay. So at some point, this red Jaguar gets towed to your shop at 9000 Connor?
Yes.
Okay. And who works on it at 9000 Connor?
Me and Jarvis.
Okay. And what do you do when you finish fixing? Do you ever finish fixing the red Jaguar?
Yes.
Okay. And what do you do when you finish fixing it?
We take it back to her. I called her first and asked her how she was planning on retrieving the vehicle. She said she was going to tow it, and I didn't want to cost her no more money, so I told her that we could bring it.
Okay. And do you recall if that was on or about January 9th of 2024?
It was on.
It was on that day?
Yes.
Okay. So on that day, before you take the red Jaguar back, who was tell me about how that day started for you.
I woke up. I typically leave the house at 6 because that's what time I could leave. So I went to the gym. I got to the shop probably around 8:30. I don't know who opened the shop. I can't really recall which one of us opened it, but Jarvis may have been there already. A few cars came in, then the Jaguar probably got there maybe around 9 o'clock. I assessed the Jaguar. Jarvis left for a moment. I had another mechanic, being it's a foreign car, so I had a foreign car mechanic on call to help with the work, but he was busy, so he came. Said he wouldn't have time to do it, so I think I Googled it, seen how it was done, and I proceeded taking the water pump off.
Okay. So you're working on the Jaguar, and is Mr. Butts at work that day?
Yes, he was there.
Okay. What do you guys being you and Mr. Butts, do as it relates to work that night?
I think we had a few cars that came in that needed some minor repairs. Between that and the Jaguar, we was jumping in and out of the Jaguar job, and the cars that could pull it up, maybe oil change, tune up, whatever, et cetera, so forth was. But we was mainly working on the Jaguar, trying to get the water pump off, as it is a hard job to do.
And do you always have all of your parts on stock or on your person in stock with you?
No, we call either AutoZone, Mansfield, one of the auto stores that has them.
Okay. And did you have to go get any auto parts on January 9th?
Yes, we had to go get the water pump for the Jaguar, as well as some other parts, I believe, for other cars.
Okay. And when you go and get parts, is it usually just one of you, both of you, or something else?
That depending. If it's a car there, then one of us will stay. If it's not a car there, we go together sometimes.
Okay. And on January 9th of 2024, did you guys, did one of you guys go to the auto parts store, or did you both go?
We both went.
Both went? Okay. Tell me what happens when you go to the auto parts store.
Before that, I called them. They ordered the water pump, so we went and picked it up when they called and said it was in. We got in the truck, went to AutoZone, got the water pump. On our way back from AutoZone, I believe we forgot something, so we ended up turning back around, going back to AutoZone, grabbed whatever we forgot, came back, and on our way back, we was coming down Harper. Jarvis said, "I see my niece right there. She walking." We pulled into Angel's liquor store. I still didn't see her. He pointed across my face, said she right there. She was coming across the street at that time. She got in the truck with us. She spoke. Hi, King. Hi, Jay. And we proceeded back to the shop.
Okay. So when you guys are driving to these auto parts stores, who's driving?
Jarvis,
Okay. And where are you at?
passenger seat.
Okay. And you said when you guys are heading back to the shop the second time,
Mhm.
That's when you said Jarvis spots someone.
Yes,
Who does he say that he spots?
his niece.
His niece. Okay. And do you recognize his niece?
Yes, when I see her, when he pointed her out to me, yes, I recognize her walking across the street.
Okay. And so you guys pull over. Where does she get into the car at?
I believe she getting behind me, so the back seat behind me.
Okay. Does Jarvis say anything to her?
Yeah, she speaks to both of us, and we speak back.
Okay. What does he say to her?
Hi.
Hi. Okay. And where do you guys go after you pick up his niece?
Back to the shop.
Okay, and that's at 9,000 Connors?
Yes.
Okay. And what do you guys do when you get back to 9,000 Connors?
He back in. We get out. We proceed to working on the Jaguar. I may have got out the car first with the parts, and he was in the car with her for a second. I got out, started working on the Jaguar.
And what happens next? What do you guys do?
I believe she get out, get into the front seat, reposition herself to the front seat of his truck. It was colder that day. I believe she started the truck. We started working on the Jaguar, putting the parts back on. It took a little minute. Like I said, it was a difficult job, so it took a while. At some point, I believe his truck ran out of gas, so we had to stop what we were doing to push his truck to the gas pump so he could get some gas.
So you said that she gets out of the car that you guys were in?
Yes.
Okay, and then she gets into Jarvis's truck?
No. We was always in Jarvis' truck.
Okay.
So she gets out the back seat and repositions herself to the front seat so she can start the cover.
And tell me, what kind of car or what kind of truck does Jarvis drive?
Escalade.
Okay. And what color?
It's pearl white.
What, if you can see, what is his niece doing while you guys are working on the shop, at the shop?
I believe she's on her cell phone, I believe.
Does Jarvis ever take his niece anywhere while you guys are working at the shop?
No.
No, okay. Did you ask him he was going to take her home at all?
I believe I asked him, was he gonna drop her off when the truck ran out of gas? We had to push it to the pump. It was just a distraction from work, so I asked, was he gonna drop her off? He said no.
And do you finish working? Did you finish working on the Jaguar that day?
Yes.
Okay. And what happens after you finish up on the Jaguar?
I called my son's grandma and asked her how she was gonna retrieve the vehicle. She said she was gonna tow it back. I told her she didn't have to do that. That was just spending extra money. So I asked Jarvis, was it all right if we dropped it off? He said yes. And we started making preparations to do so.
Do you recall about what time you guys finished the Jaguar and prepared to leave?
Right around 7:30ish, somewhere around there.
Okay, so right around 7:30ish. Now he has to be at home by 9 because he has a curfew, right? That was given by the state. Now get into this. This is my thing. If we have cars at this work site, brother, you're gonna have to tell your little niece that she's gonna have to move around. We got business to do. Like we have, this is pouring into the company, right? So they were making money. Or were they? How many favors were they doing? You get what I'm saying? I don't know, but let's get into it.
When do you guys eventually leave the shop?
Yes.
Okay. And tell me about who all leaves the shop?
Me, Jarvis, and his niece.
Okay. And tell me about the driving arrangements.
So I drove my 300 and Jarvis drove the Jaguar.
And where was his niece at?
She was with him in the front seat of the Jaguar.
Now, are you able to recall what his niece looked like that day?
Yes. Faintly, but yes.
Do you remember what kind of clothing she was wearing?
I remember she had a jacket on. Like I said, a coat. It was cold, so I think it was colorful.
Colorful?
Yeah.
May I approach?
Yes.
And Mr. Wright, I'm approaching with People's Proposed Exhibit 2. And I'm going to direct you to the top left corner. Can you tell me, is there anything that you recognize in that?
The jacket in Channel 1.
Okay. And is that a fair and accurate depiction of the jacket that you've seen his niece, Jarvis's niece, wearing that day?
Yes.
Okay. And I move for the admission of People's Proposed Exhibit 2.
Any objection? Okay. So we'll be admitted as People's Exhibit 2.
Thank you. I'm going to show you your man approach. And I'm showing you its marked Appeals Proposed Exhibit 3. Do you recognize what I just handed you?
Yes.
Thanks. And is that a fair and accurate depiction of Jarvis's niece as you remember seeing her back on January 9th, 2024?
Yes.
Okay. And is that the same niece that went with you to Ypsilanti?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And I move for the admission of People's Proposed Exhibit 3.
No objection. Okay, it'll be admitted as People's Exhibit 3.
Thank you. So, You said you're driving in your 300 and Jarvis is driving the Jaguar with his niece.
Yes.
Okay. About how long does it take you guys to get to Ypsilanti?
It was raining that day, so about 35 minutes.
And when you get to Ypsilanti, what do you do?
We get out, we park the car, get out, we go in. My son's grandma and I believe his auntie was there as well, so they greeted us. They, you know, they'd spoken to him before, so they greet him. And then my son, grandma asked who the little girl was.
And did you introduce the little girl?
No.
Okay. Who introduced the little girl?
Jarvis did.
And what did Jarvis introduce her as?
His niece.
And about how long do you guys stay in Ypsilanti?
Not long, maybe 15 minutes or so. My son, auntie had to go get the rest of our money that my son, grandma didn't have, so she went to the ATM.
What do you guys do when you went to the ATM?
Talking. She was just telling us about other work she needed to do around her house, et cetera, so on and so forth.
Okay. And was Mr. Butts with you the whole time?
Yes.
So you guys eventually leave Ypsilanti?
Yes.
So my question would be, at some point in time would be, what did you let them know that you had an S offender come into their home? And then you're seeing, oh, well, my son's grandmother, you know, she was chit-chatting it up. At what given time did you feel like it was necessary for her to know? So I feel like he didn't do his due diligence. You know, anytime that, you know, a person like that is going around people, they should be informed of who you have in their home.
And tell me about the driving arrangements coming or leaving Ypsilanti.
At this point, we only have one vehicle, which is mine. We get in, Jarvis in the front. I believe Naziah sat behind me.
Sat behind you?
Yes.
Okay. So, and is there any kind of talking or conversation when you guys are driving?
No, I got sounds in my car, so no.
And do you recall about what time you guys, I guess, where do you guys go when you leave Ypsilanti?
Back to 9,000 Connors.
Okay. And do you recall about what time you guys get back to 9,000 Connors?
Probably around 8:45. I was cutting it close on the tether.
What do you do when you get back to 9,000 Connors?
Opened up the shop door where he left. He left his truck in one of the bays, so we opened up that bay door, went through the gas station, because that's the way we entered the shop. Went through the gas station, opened the shop, opened one of the bay doors. I went to the back and started splitting the money that we had made for the day, and separating the receipts, etc.
Where do you see his niece go?
Getting this truck.
Do you recall where at his truck she got into?
Passenger seat.
Is the front passenger, back passenger, or something else?
Front passenger.
And where's Mr. Butts at?
Back in the back with me, separating the cash.
And when you leave, do you lock up the shop?
No, I left first.
You left first. Okay. So when you leave, who's still at the shop?
Jarvis and his niece.
Do you see them leave the shop at all?
No.
And have you seen, Jarvis's niece, the one that was with you on the 9th? Have you seen her since January 9th, 2024?
No.
And see, this is my thing. Why didn't y'all drop her off on the way to dropping that car off or on the way back? Why does she have to go to the shop?
Now I want to talk about the day after that you guys went to FC, so January 10th. Do you recall if Mr. Butts was at work that day?
I don't think he was.
What makes you think that he wasn't?
I believe he called me like 3 times, 4 times. No reason for him to call me if he was standing right next to me.
No response.
So I don't think he's speculating, so not putting police.
Can you ask the question? Re-ask the question.
Yes. So you said that you don't believe he was at work because he would call you, or he called you so often?
He called me. We had a 30-minute conversation on one account, and then we had another conversation about 15 minutes. So
So that makes you believe in your mind that he was actually honest with you?
What's the question first?
He's asking, based on those conversations, in his mind to him, that means that Mr. Butts was not at the shop with him. I don't think that's leading.
It's stating a conclusion.
He said he already stated that he wasn't at the shop. We didn't believe him. So I'll overrule.
Thank you. You can.
one more time. I'm sorry.
Sorry. So based on the length of those phone calls and the times of them, did that make you believe that Mr. Butts was not at the shop with you?
Right.
Did Jarvis Butts ever mention to you about his niece being missing?
No.
Have you talked to Mr. Butts, aside from that jail call that we played, since turning himself in?
No.
And do you know someone, do you know any of Jarvis's siblings?
Yes.
And which sibling do you know?
I met his brother and I met his sister.
You talked to his sister. Well, start that. Do you remember would his sister ever come to the shop?
Sporadically.
Sporadically, okay. And are there times that you talk to her?
Yes.
Okay. And you talk to her about Jarvis's niece being missing?
After the police questioned me, I believe she came up there and we spoke about it. Yes.
And Mr. Wright, I'd asked you earlier about if you see what's in the courtroom, so that you couldn't see him.
Yes.
Okay. And may I approach? Yes. And I'm showing you People's Proposed Exhibit 9. Can you tell me if you recognize that photo?
Yes.
And who is it in that photo?
Jarvis.
Okay. That's Jarvis Butts?
Yes.
Okay. Now I move for the admission of People's Proposed Exhibit 9.
Exhibit as People's Exhibit 9.
Thank you. Mr. Wright, I kind of want to direct your attention back to People's Proposed Exhibit 3, People's Exhibit 3, I'm sorry. Can you see it from here where I'm holding it?
Yes.
Okay, and do you know who this person in this photo is now?
Yes.
Okay. And who do you know her as now?
Nazaya.
And the next time that you see Jarvis Butts after January 9th, 2024, do you see any injuries on him?
No, I don't believe I've seen it.
Really for the judge.
Good morning, Mr. Ray.
Good morning.
You said that, I believe, in your testimony that you have known Mr. Butts since about 2018, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. You said you met at Frank's shop.
That's correct.
And you said you guys worked together at Frank's for about 2 years,
That's correct.
and that means in about 2020, you opened up the shop on Connor.
No, in 2021, I went to prison.
Okay.
So that's why we didn't work together for that period of time.
And
But
so you came back
I came back and we went back to the same thing.
at Frank's,
Yes,
and then what year was that?
that was 2023.
Okay, and so then how long after you came back were you, the two of you at Frank's together?
Maybe a few months to maybe like the middle of the year. So maybe around either June. It was before summer, so maybe around April. It was still a little cold outside.
Okay. So like early spring
Yeah.
of 2023 is when you said that you think that you opened up the shop at 9 times?
Yes, it could have been earlier than that, but yes, around about.
And so you became business partners?
Yes,
Did you become business partners?
yes,
Okay. You also consider Mr. Butts a friend at that point?
yes.
As far as the business arrangement, you said it was a 50-50 split. Did you split it every day at the end of the day?
Every day.
Now back around the beginning of 2024, maybe the end of 2023, were you seeing a woman in Clinton Township?
A woman in Clinton Township.
Yes. A friend of a woman named Shannon Harris?
In 24?
Yes.
No.
Or ever?
Yes.
When were you seeing her?
It probably was 2000 and maybe 19 or 20.
So before you went?
Before I went to prison.
Okay. Did you and Mr. Butts ever have a falling out about that?
No.
Now you and Mr. Butts, did you talk about your personal lives?
Sometimes, yes.
You spent good days at work together, right?
Right.
So suddenly it came up.
Of course.
Talk about girlfriends.
Of course.
Did women often come to the shop looking for Mr. Butts?
Sporadically.
Did he talk to you about the various women that he would be seeing or juggling, maybe?
That happened.
Okay. Did it sometimes cause drama at the shop?
It happens.
Women would come up and confront Mr. Butts,
It happens.
maybe about other women that he was seeing?
Happens.
Did you ever feel like that was affecting your business?
Not at Frank's.
What about at the business that you owned in Connor?
No, it didn't happen as much.
Didn't happen as much in Connor?
Right.
Now, sometime, I guess, while the two of you were working together, you had a friend that was, I guess, talking to or trying to date one of Mr. Butts' daughters. Is that correct?
That happened.
The daughter was 21, 22.
She was somewhere around there. I'm not 100% certain, but yeah, around that age, 20, 21, 22.
And that caused an issue for Mr. Butts.
It did.
He got pretty upset with his friend.
It did. I was in prison at the time, so, but yes, I was involved directly.
Did you ever hear about an altercation that happened between the two of them?
Some kind of
Should I get into that? He in jail. Jarvis out here doing the most in the streets, messing with one of his girls, right? He said that she was like 21, 20. So we know likes him at the age, right? Girl, this is a lot. Let's get into it. If y'all are here with me, please hit the like button. Please share. Let somebody know that we're live. Thank you.
altercation did occur, yes.
Was it your impression that Mr. Butts was pretty protective of her?
Yeah.
Based on that?
Based on that.
Do you know how many children Mr. Butts has?
13?
And you said that some of them would come to the shop.
Yes, that.
You're familiar with them?
Yeah.
And I can ask you to name everyone, not all of them, but at the shop on Connor, you said his sons would come,
His son will come sometimes and stay today with us.
and his daughter.
She'll come sometimes and stay today with us.
And what's her name called?
Now I don't want to misname it.
Okay.
I think it's someone with J or something like that, though, but I'm not 100% sure.
Was she like a teenager?
He has a teenager. She come up there sometime, but not really. The littlest one, maybe 9, 7, 8, 9, somewhere around there.
Okay. And then his niece would also come?
Yes.
Would she come typically with his own children?
When I first met her, yes, that's how I met her with his daughter. She would always come with his daughter. They would come up there sometimes to get air in their tires. Maybe money, just typical kid stuff.
Did he ever, or did the two of you ever have them like doing chores around the shop?
Sometimes.
Did Mr. Butts talk to you about his children?
Yes.
Did you talk about spending time with them?
Yes, I believe he lived with the majority of them.
And you said that, you mentioned Tasha, she's one of the mothers of some of those children,
Yes.
correct? Was that who he was living with at the time?
No, I don't believe so.
Now, you said, I believe in your testimony, that you had been to Ypsilanti twice with Mr. Butts. Is that,
Or 3 times. One of the,
could have been 3?
it could have possibly been 3. I'm not 100% certain.
Now, one of the times that his niece was at the shop was, you said, on January the 9th.
First time I seen her by herself, yes.
That's because y'all picked her up on Harper.
Yes.
Did Mr. Butts seem surprised that he saw her?
I'm not sure. I couldn't really, we was riding. I wasn't really paying attention to his expression. He just said, "Hey, there go my niece." I didn't see her, so he pointed her out to me.
And at that time, you only knew her as his niece, correct?
Yes.
You didn't have any idea what her name was at that time.
No.
And in fact, the reason you learned her name was when you identified that picture that was just shown to you and the police told you what her name was. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say.
Now, in the time that you were at the shop on the night with Mr. Butts and his niece, did you see any inappropriate behavior or anything that made you raise your eyebrows between the two of them?
No.
What about any of the other times that his niece would have been there at the shop? Did you ever see any behavior that made you question or thought was inappropriate?
Say I have.
Now, the 3 of you rode back from Ypsilanti on January 9th. That was your testimony, right?
Yes.
Was there any conversation between Mr. Butts and his niece in the car?
There was no conversation between really nobody. I had the music on.
And I'm going to back up to earlier in the day when the 3 of you came to the shop the first time after you picked her up on Harper.
Okay.
You said that she pretty much stayed in Mr. Butts' car the whole time?
Yes.
She said she was on her phone.
Yes.
Did you ever leave the shop at all after that before you guys went to planning?
Maybe in the gas station.
So not just the attached gas station.
Yeah, maybe to the gas station. I'm not sure if I actually physically left the building. I'm not sure.
Would it have been for more than like 5 or 10 minutes?
If I ever left, no, maybe to use the bathroom, so maybe 10 minutes tops if I had to leave.
You never have to grab parts at any place that you can recall.
Not that I can recall.
Now, after January 9th, what was the next time you said that you saw Mr. Butts?
The 11th.
The 11th. Okay, he was not at work on the 10th?
No.
Okay. Were you there on time on the 10th, do you recall?
I'm never on time.
What time did you come in on the 10th?
Probably about 8:40. I go to the gym, so we open at 8, but I'm never there at 8. So I probably got there maybe 8:49.
And on the 10th, were you the one that opened the shop?
Yes.
Now, you were aware at that time that Mr. Butts was supposed to turn himself in and serve a jail sentence of William County Jail. That's correct?
Yes, I am.
You talked about that, obviously, because he was going to have to leave the business for a while.
Correct.
Okay. And you actually went to the courthouse on the day he turned himself in to support him, right?
Yes, I was there.
And he was serving time on a gun possession charge, is that right?
That's correct.
If you know.
That's correct.
And because you were kind of paying attention to what was happening, you understood that the court date had gotten changed a few times.
Yeah, he told me that it had changed. So I believe he's supposed to get sentenced on the 9th, but it got pushed back to February the 7th. So I learned that through him. I didn't go to court with him that time, but just when he got sentenced, I went to court with him that time.
Are you familiar with any court dates that he had out in Clinton Township around that time?
He did say he had something going on with his daughter, I believe. I believe it was domestic with his daughter of some sort. So yeah, I was familiar with that, I believe.
Was he going to court for that at that same time?
Around about, I believe it was supposed to be, yes.
Now you got involved because at some point you became aware that the Detroit police wanted to talk to you back in February.
They came to the shop and picked me up
Okay, that should took you on.
to headquarters.
Okay, and that was the first time on February 13th, is that right?
That was February 13th, for Valentine's.
Then you said you spoke with them again a couple days later.
Yes, I would believe the first time I spoke with him, I was still on tether, so it had to be sometime I was on tether, yes.
And then you spoke with them again in March, right?
Yes.
Was that a phone conversation?
No, all of our conversations was via person.
Okay. And then a couple weeks ago, did you also speak with the police
Yes.
and the prosecutors?
I don't know if a prosecutor, but yes, I believe she was.
As far as you can remember?
Oh, yes.
Now, in February, when you were talking to the police, by that time, had you seen anything on the news or on social media about who you later learned was Mr. Butts' niece?
No.
So at the time you were interviewed by the police, you didn't know anything about?
No.
Okay. And at the time that you were talking to the police, while you were on tether in February, you were on tether because you were on parole, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you had about 3 weeks left on parole at that point.
Not 3 weeks in February.
Yes.
I had 3 weeks left on tether. I got off actual parole in May.
Okay. So the tether was coming off, but you were still going to have to report.
3 more at once after the tether came off.
And in February, I believe it was the second conversation that you had with a detective, presumably, you and the officer or the detective spoke about the tether, right? Do you recall that?
I believe so, yes.
Because you were concerned every time you would go somewhere, if you would be late, you were very.
Oh, yeah,
about
yeah.
being home on time.
Right.
And in fact, he actually said, hey, we'll take care of you if anything pops up, right?
He said, I talked to your PO, so you're fine.
Okay. And he also kind of warned you that he didn't want to get somebody upset about the way you were answering these questions and have somebody feel some kind of way about you. Do you recall him saying that to you?
He may have said something to that extent. I'm not sure though. This is the first conversation or the second you asked me
The
about?
second. Right at the top of the conversation.
I can't really recall every word. I know they were a little agitated. I was a little agitated. It was a lot going on, so maybe.
It's possible that conversation.
It's possible.
Did you understand any of his statements while you're talking to him to mean that the police wanted you to give answers, and if you didn't give answers, that they could mess with your parole or your tether status?
It's also speculation, Judge,
It goes to his state of mind
but he doesn't know what happened.
about what he believed happened and the impact of what he said.
Speculation is to rephrase it as far as what they actually asked.
Was it your understanding that if you didn't give certain answers, that the police might impact your parole or your tether status? Was that a concern of yours?
I mean, it was already affecting my tether, so I wasn't really, you know what I mean, concerned about how he placed his questions upon me, no. So, I mean, more of the concern was my being picked up by the police. Police contact is a violation of parole within itself, so I was violated for the police contact, regardless to whatever he was saying. You get what I mean? So, no, I don't believe it impacted anything at all, actually.
But your parole wasn't actually revoked because they took you to the station and interviewed you, right?
No.
Now we talked a little bit about this a few minutes ago. Mr. Butts was struggling with a few different women during the time you knew him.
Yes.
And it was hard to keep up with all his baby mamas.
I mean, yeah.
And what he said weren't his baby mamas.
Right.
Did you get the impression from Mr. Butts that he didn't want these women to know about each other?
Of course.
And a woman named Tasha was one of Mr. Butts' ladies.
Yes.
And that was one of his baby mamas.
Yes. To my belief, yes.
So there was a discussion about a phone call between you and Mr. Butts while he was at the jail about his phone, right?
Yes.
And after that phone conversation, Tasha actually came into the shop to get some work done on the car.
Yes, she came to get a oil change and a headlight.
And that's when you went and kind of looked at the phone.
Yes.
Now, you don't want you to know that you were looking at the phone, right?
Of course not.
And the reason for that was?
She's gonna wonder why I'm looking for a phone.
It was your impression that Mr. Butts was afraid it would reveal that he was talking to other women,
Of course.
and so you're trying to help him keep the peace.
Of course.
And ladies, that is the code for bros before you know what. This man said that he knew that this dude cheated on his girlfriend, right? And ladies, you got to be careful out here when you're dating pool. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we just got to be more careful, you know? Ladies and gentlemen, we got to be more careful.
I think the testimony was on the 9th, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there was an issue during the day. Mr. Butts had his escalator there, is that correct?
Yes.
And he had run out of gas,
Yes.
and he had to get gas, is that right?
That's correct.
At some point, you pushed him to the, or helped push the escalator to a gas pump.
Yes.
Do you recall leaving with him that night and going and getting gas together?
For his truck, or what we saying?
Um,
Or for like a gas can? What do you?
Well, either one. Did you all leave the shop, and perhaps you in your vehicle and he in his vehicle, and end up at a gas station
No,
on the night?
No.
You don't have any recollection of that?
I don't remember that. No.
Okay. I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Can you redirect?
Okay.
Mr. Wright, you are going to testify.
Thank
Okay, so he may be let off the stand, but we're not about to let him off that easy. I feel like he was an irresponsible individual. You were in business with this man. I'm pretty sure you knew about, what he was not supposed to be doing. This dude wasn't even registered, and I feel like he played a part and he knew a lot more than what he wanted to tell, because really we cannot depend on him to tell us anything truthful, because he made it clear that he didn't even he wasn't truthful with Jarvis's baby's mom. He knew that Jarvis was cheating on his baby's mother, and he would reach out to her. She brought the vehicle up. He didn't say anything. He just smiling like everything is cool. So can we really trust his information? Can we trust that he would tell us the truth about where Neziah is? All right, we got a few more minutes on this. Let's listen to it, and then we'll discuss right after.
Okay. As we discussed in our last hearing, we are only hearing one witness today in this case, correct?
That's correct, I guess.
We have an agreed upon date starting back January 6th.
Yes.
I have blocked up January 6th, 7th, and 8th, and the people have, is it correct, 21 more witnesses?
Roughly, yeah.
Possibly. Okay. Anything else that we discussed on this matter before we start the next?
None of this issue.
No, yes.
Okay, we are off the record. And I will allow for a 15-minute break, so everyone can use the restroom, get some water, come back for the next case.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, let's get into it. Listen here. That was a lot to take in, knowing that this was his business partner, and the business partner was so careless, right? He was very irresponsible. And I feel like that sister didn't call the police because they were trying to not only protect her brother, but protect Cordell as well, because any type of police contact would have sent Cordell right along down with Jarvis. So they were protecting both of them. They were protecting both of them. So when we say, well, why didn't they? I'm starting to figure it out. And then Cordell, I don't know if y'all picked this up, Cordell mentioned something about a gas can. So I'm thinking, did they set that girl on fire? Hey, CJ the cat, how are you, honey? Good to see you. You know, it makes you question. I'm like, oh my goodness. This is deep. Like I said, Cordell knows more than what he's saying. And also, I feel like Jarvis's sister knows more than what she's saying. Everybody knows more than what they're saying. Allegedly. This is all speculation. We don't know anything to be true. And we're just giving our opinion. Then I heard someone say, well, I stay in Detroit and there's a lot of kids missing and that they don't care, this, that, and the third. And it just, it hurts my heart because, it's never, oh my goodness. I hear about more of our people going up missing. And it's so crazy. Like, we just got to make sure we're paying attention, engaging with our kids, making sure, they're safe, asking them those safety questions, And if we see something, we got to say something, stop trying to be all cool and stuff. I know a content creator was on here yelling at her baby, I heard. I'm not with that. That's why I'm going to watch that person. But I'm not with that. You traumatizing that baby. But yeah, that's I do have the call-in number if you guys want to call in. I'll go ahead and drop the link if anybody wants to come up and sound off and give their opinion on what we have been covering, which is the Naziah Harris case. And it will be in trial next month on March the 7th of 2025. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, if you just want to simply sound off, don't hesitate to hit the link or the call-in number. All right, so we don't have any callers and we don't have anybody on the link. Well, listen here, I want to thank you so much for taking out your time this rising to cover this news with me. Please set your notifications. Please make sure you are subscribed to all of our channels. Queen Tulsa Tabloids, Next Case with Queen Tulsa, and the Queen Tulsa Show. Thank you so much to Norris Tony for coming out and helping out the royal family. Thank you so much. We have Ron P. in the building supporting you. Come through and show some support. We have CJ the cat that rolled up in here. Oh, yes. Showing some love. Yes. Feels good. Well, listen here. You all have a wonderful rising, and we will see you all back here soon. So long.